What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and gals? Let's be real here. There's no girls here. It's just a bunch of dudes. Let's be real. What is up, folks? It is Sunday evening. It is 7:03 p.m. PT here in San Francisco. It is Ask Soma Anything night. How exciting.
Y'all.
Y'all. I have a special guest with me this evening. You have been introduced to him.
I knew when you walked in here that
Previously.
you were
Oh,
going to be
thanks,
spectacular.
Mr. Cassidy.
Thymon!
Wait, yeah, I thought it was 48 last month. That's weird. Well, you get 48 months again, apparently. We'll go back in time a month. Thank you, sir. You guys know him. You have met him. You have seen him. But here he is again. I present to you Colonel Justin.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back.
Now, we're sharing a mic. So please let us know how it sounds. It should sound really well. Or really good, rather. And we should be picked up rather well. But let us know if there's anything wrong with it. I was finagling with the settings earlier without testing it. And you guys know how that goes. Sometimes it goes terribly wrong. But I think it should be fine. Why don't you say some words? Let's see here.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's
There we go.
great to be back in California, just passing through town, and it's great to spend some time with the bestie and my godson Tristan and his fiancee
Aww.
Cristal. And it's been a good weekend. It's been a very good weekend.
Oh, isn't that so cute?
Yeah,
That's so precious.
more
Sounds
fun than
good.
Florida, I'll tell you that.
Good. It sounds good. Awesome.
Thank you
you're so
for.
short with
Oh,
this chair.
it's okay.
Sorry about that.
I got a short torso. I'll scoot up.
Yeah, so this is Tristan's godfather, Colonel Justin. So Crystal and I careen off a cliff in a car, and Tristan survives. Colonel Justin will take over. Isn't that sweet?
I got him.
So I'm going to propose the first question. Thoughts on Tristan?
So, quite frankly, you and Crystal won the lottery. I have never met such a beautiful baby with such an amazing disposition. He doesn't really cry at all. He like whines a little bit.
He can bitch a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, but he's like super chill, and yeah, you guys did good. Congratulations to you, genetic lottery winner.
I'm not. He is.
He is the winner.
I am
yeah.
definitely
But you
not
are
a
a
genetic-
beneficiary of his
I'm
inheritance.
passing something down that
absolutely.
did not manifest itself in me.
Right. Well,
So
we'll see how that goes. I mean, he's super young, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
that's true.
Yeah, he'll be all right though.
That's true.
First impressions are lasting impressions. So
He is
He's
fucking cute. He's so adorable. He's sleeping right now, but if he wakes up and Crystal comes in with him to change his shitty diaper, we will put him on full display
yeah,
as I have
you
many
can
times.
see everything.
Yeah, I brought him on stream several times, and he looks great on camera.
As you should.
Chat, you guys know the drill for Ask Some Anything. We are just going to be hanging out, doing the just chatting shit. And you guys can kind of just toss out any question you feel like. And we'll answer it to the best of our ability. You cannot ask Colonel Justin classified shit.
Oh,
He
I mean,
can't
you
tell you
can.
the
I'll
nuclear
just well,
codes.
I'll give you a generic answer as well.
Yes, you can't ask him for the new codes. He doesn't know them. But pretty much anything else goes. I don't know if anyone has anything quite yet, but if not, that's okay. I want to know if you're gonna watch the new Last of Us HBO show.
Yes,
Fuck yeah!
100%. It came out
Yes.
what, the 15th?
First episode is tonight. Yeah.
Yeah.
In like what, 2 hours or right now? When did it come out? Like an hour ago? Yeah. So get this. Yes, we plan on watching it, but our TV broke. Our TV that we've had for 3 years just broke right before the move, which is kind of nice because now we don't have to pack it. We don't have to worry about throwing it in a box and worrying about if it breaks in the move or not. So that's cool. So we're gonna toss that shit on the curb in the rain. And you know what? If it's not broken and it's just like something wrong with the outlet, man, what a mistake that will be. But we've tested it out and it's not working at all. It just tries to keep powering up.
Have
and
you
then
taken
keeps-
it to a shop?
No. But before this, The reason why I do think it's broken is because black lines started to show up horizontally
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
you got
TV.
problems. You
Yeah,
got
so I
problems.
think
Yeah.
I think it's probably broken.
Yeah.
It's okay. Let's see here. Dude, how is your bro doing? I haven't seen him stream for a while.
Which bro?
My bro? What are you talking about, Hawaiian Dane? Like my brother Tom? Is that what you're talking about? I think he's maybe streamed one time ever. Oh, I don't think oh yeah, he did stream a couple times, yeah. I don't think he's gone live. Shit, dude. Let's see. Twitch.tv/H6. I don't even think he watches Twitch anymore. His last stream was.
Wow, you can just look it up and find that shit out.
Where's my brother? Let's see. Let's check. There he is. He hasn't streamed in more than a year.
Oh, that answers that.
Yeah, let's see here. His last stream was like in 2020. Yeah. He's doing his own thing now. I don't really talk to my brother that much, actually. It's kind of sad. I wanted my family to all of my family to come out to meet the baby whenever he was born, and he didn't come. I'm not trying to throw shade. Maybe he was busy. I don't know. But we don't really talk that much. I moved out when he was 7 years old. So I don't know. I was 17. He was 7 whenever I went off on my own. So we didn't really connect like a lot, I guess. But I love him. I miss him. I can't wait for him to meet Tristan. But yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. Let's see here. Ask classified stuff. So are there aliens? And Hawaiian Dane says the aliens are under Wright Pat. What can you say about that?
So the rumor mill is that at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, that is where they store the aliens. There's also rumors about Roswell, New Mexico, and the various bases that are there. Unless you're read into those programs, you don't really know. So I'm not read in. I don't know that shit. So it's all rumor mill.
What are the chances? What are the chances?
In my personal opinion, 100%. Yeah, like
100% that there is probably aliens, and you just think.
So I completely off the record, right? Like, but
Yeah.
if you were to measure the technological leaps that we made from the 1950s to the 1980s, come on, like
That's a good point.
I think we got a little help with stealth technology and supersonic stuff, and then we weren't able to really crack the rest. This is my fantasy opinion, right?
Fantasy
but
opinion,
if those dots were connected, it would not surprise me in the least. Yeah.
Did you watch the Bob Lazar Rogan podcast years back?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
He
It
had
kind of echoed what I already thought, and then when he said what he said, I was like, okay, that makes sense with
what he said made so much sense. It was hard to detect bullshit.
Well, because
The only thing that was
you could
bull-
see the emotion in his face, like he wasn't faking it, or he was the best actor ever.
That stuck to a story for that many decades.
Yeah,
without
and then went
changing.
through a lot of personal hardship over it. So, yeah, I think that there are aliens. I think statistically, in the size of this universe, to believe that there are not aliens is a difficult postulate to adhere to.
Yeah.
So there, I think, and then I even talked to fighter pilots. This is unclassified anyway. Like flying over Eglin Air Force Base, and they've seen these UFOs,
Right.
and then they debrief. And they're like, yeah, it's not news to us. Like, talk to a therapist if you need, but like that's a thing. And you're like, oh, okay, that's a thing. So
like the Tic Tacs and all that shit.
yeah, so they're clustered in the Pensacola area.
San Diego as well.
In San Diego, Southern California. They actually, those have been detected the longest in the United States since the 1800s. But they're all over the world. And then when the United States government, after they unclassified all this shit and put it out a couple years ago, and we're just like, yep, that's real. There's your answer. Like, we're not denying it anymore. So, yep, I think that there are.
That's so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, one thing that Lazar said that was really fascinating was, imagine, or I can't, maybe he said, or Rogan said, I can't remember, but he said something along the lines of, imagine if you put a motorcycle back in Victorian England
Right.
and you left the key in the ignition, and they studied it and they fucked around with it and they could not understand what the fuck this thing is, but eventually they turned the key, and eventually after that they'd be able to maybe even ride it, but
Right.
they would never be able to figure out how the fuck it was built, how it ran.
Sure.
They would never understand the fuel or be able to replicate it, but they could get some general understanding of it.
Or like pick apart the tertiary technology, and in this case I think that may have been stealth, but that's just Justin saying out loud what he thinks, not anything supported by any real documentation.
Cool. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. Let's see here. What can you tell us about Dolce? What is that?
Dolce and Gabbana.
What is that? Let's see. Speaking on
Oh,
Rogan
you-
Lazar, check out his episode with Travis Walton. He's the dude who Fire in the Sky was based off of. What's Fire in the Sky? Do I know that? Let's look it up. Fire in the
Travis
Sky.
Walton.
Fire in the Sky. Oh, the movie. Okay. Oh yeah. So this was like a few guys are out in the woods, and then one of them gets kidnapped and disappears for several days, and then
Okay.
comes back and claims that aliens abducted him, and he has like a really rock solid story. And the
Hmm.
cops thought the other guys murdered this guy, and it was like a whole thing.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
I'd have to
Okay.
look at it.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta watch that one. Let's see here. I've seen some crazy shit near Edwards Air Force Base. Yeah. So
So-
what kind of crazy shit?
So that makes sense just because that's a test base. So you may be seeing extra or extraterrestrial stuff, or you might just be seeing military testing. That's hard to determine. But yeah, if you live out there and you see what's up in the skies, they're always trying new shit, which is kind of cool. You just don't know what it really is.
So are we talking like SR-71s flying out there and other shit? Like
Anything
new age
that's
stuff?
anything that's ever been fielded for the U.S. Air Force has been-
B-21?
Yeah, you would have seen that. That's the newest bomber. When the F-22 was doing its thing at nighttime, and you would see it jumping in the sky with its thrust vectoring, that would have been at Edwards before it was actually fielded. So yeah, if you grew up there, you probably saw some crazy shit, especially at nighttime.
It's so fascinating seeing fighter jets strafe. It is such a fucking
Well,
odd
and
thing.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
where do we come up with that shit
Fucking
in
insane.
20 years? Like,
Yeah.
without any technology or AI or anything. Like, it came
It's
from somewhere.
fucking weird.
But-
Let's see here. What do you think about Bitcoin?
Well, that's your realm.
I still believe in blockchain. I still believe in decentralized currency, and in some ways Bitcoin along with that. I think that altcoins are being utilized for bad right now. I mean, you guys know I had like 50 grand stolen out of two exchanges as I was converting my altcoins into Bitcoin to put into cold storage. I turned like 15K into 54K in like 3 months. And then it was just stolen. It was hacked out of Binance, the Chinese website, and Bittrex, which I believe is like a European or Swedish website. But anyway, I put my coins into those exchanges, went out to dinner, had my Ledger Nano S on my desk. I just got it from Amazon.com. Go out, get some drinks, get some food, come back, and I'm watching all of my Bitcoin. And at one time, I think the most I ever had was like 15 Bitcoin or something like that. Maybe it was less, 12 and a half Bitcoin, something like that. Close to 13 Bitcoin, which is fucking crazy considering where the price got. And all that Bitcoin was being transferred out of the exchange. I checked the other exchange, same story. They hacked both. I don't know how this happened. I think it was a direct attack on myself personally through a dirty link. But the timing was very depressing because I had the Nano S Ledger right there, ready to fucking put essentially 13 Bitcoin in a cold storage for later, waiting for it to hit like 100,000 a coin, and after taxes pull in fucking, I don't know, 600K. All gone, bye-bye. That doesn't mean just because I'm out of the game that I don't watch from the sidelines and still think decentralized currency is a good idea, because I do. I think it's a very good idea. Why the fuck do we get charged to take our money out of our own bank account at an ATM? Why is there overdraft fees? Why is there a monthly checking account fee at some banks? You were fucking charging me to take out and hold my own money. That is a broken, fucked up system. And then when the banks fuck up, the government bails them out. It's disgusting. Why do I need a third party in between me and buying a pair of shoes? I don't. I don't need that. Digital currency allows you to skip that. Consumer to the person selling directly. Here's the money. I like that.
I have a very different view.
Oh, let's hear it. Okay.
I think that money in general is a construct, right? Like we
Yes.
created it out of nothing to
So is crypto. Yeah.
to be a better bartering system. So when we moved away from the gold standard under Nixon, then all it was based upon was the strength of your nation's economy. The problem with crypto is that you have all these competing currencies with no real data leverage to measure the strength. And I think that's why it suggests the volatility of the market. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's not going to be the wave of the future, but at the moment it is volatile just because there's no basis for any one currency's strength. Whereas you can measure the pound or the dollar or the UN or the yen based on its country's buying capacity and its consistency, and you don't have that necessarily with crypto. So it'll be interesting to see how it
That's
stays
true.
or doesn't stay within the financial markets.
Yeah, what you just said is undeniable. That's absolutely true. I think that right now the cryptocurrency sea is riddled with pirates and it's
Yeah.
dirty out there. But eventually there will be some form of regulation which almost contradicts
Notice what you said. So
Yes.
with regulation comes
which
things like
contradicts
overdraft fees and
yes, exactly.
ATM fees and all that shit. So
100%.
you can't have your cake and eat it too. So I don't
That's
know.
right.
I don't know how it's gonna go.
You're right. It's weird. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, long story short, I think crypto's cool. I am excited to see where it goes. Right now, it's kind of fucked in some ways. Don't even get me started on shit like NFTs and stuff like that. I'm not a believer in that. I think Web3 eventually, when it's figured out and there's some cool applications for it, is cool. Right now, most games on Web3 fucking blow ass. Like they're bad. Like
In a bad way.
In a bad way. Like 98% of them are just. There's maybe a couple, but yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. There needs to be good faith actors in the space, and currently there's not. There's shit like Bankman Fried, you know, and FTX, and like, and you know, people getting hacked and their shit stolen, and it's pump and dumps, altcoin schemes. It's terrible. So go crypto. Let's see here. Dulce Base is the subject of a conspiracy theory claiming that a jointly operated human and alien underground facility exists under
I've heard this.
Arculeta Mesa on the Colorado-New Mexico border near the town of Dulce, New Mexico in the United States.
Yeah, so it's not just that. It's also the belief that, there's a conspiracy theory that goes back to Nazi Germany that believes that they were in cahoots with the aliens and providing them human beings as test subjects for genetic testing.
Oh.
So the Dolce thing is just like the American version of that conspiracy theory. But I've heard of it. It's very interesting. It's hard with stuff like that without any real evidence, but it's certainly interesting to think about.
Wouldn't that be fucking terrible and awful if aliens did show up and they were like, "Hey, let's work with this group," and it's the fucking Nazis?
And the hard part about these conspiracies is that if they are true, they have left no shred of evidence that it's happening, and we're just living in a world where it's happening, and we have no fucking clue. So
Yeah.
so maybe it's true, and that's just part of our reality. I don't know.
That sucks. We were so close to switching to cold storage. Oh yeah, I'll never forget that. It was a devastating time to lose that much money. I sold, I can't remember how many Amazon shares to like invest into crypto. In the end, I lost $15,000. That's how I view it. Shit goes down sometimes in your life that you don't like, and that was one of those times. All right, keep it coming, motherfuckers. What you got? Drop it on us.
What you got?
Yeah, fuck yeah, drop it on us. Justin, how has your trip been here in California? Does it feel good to be back, even though it's Waterworld right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be back here. I lived here for 8 years, and especially San Francisco, it still feels like home. As you get older, I feel like the definition of home changes. Like I don't need to be out of the bars at night, but it's still nice to walk around the streets during the daytime and kind of get those old memories come flooding back. So it's been good. And then now, when you move away, which is soon,
2 weeks.
it'll be different. I won't
Yeah.
have really any pool back here, so I'm not sure how much I'll be
Isn't that weird?
visiting anymore. But yeah, it's fun while it lasted. That's life.
Yeah,
It's always
true.
changing. It's the one constancy.
And now you get to come visit us in Las Vegas,
I'm
which is
cool
still
with-
cool.
I'm
It's still
cool with-
fun,
I'm cool
but
with that.
it's not SF, but it's still good.
Yep.
I think Vegas will be good. Ice, good to see you, brother. What's going on? Ice, I'm sure you could think of some good questions for Ask Soma Anything featuring Colonel Justin. I lost so much in the market, but I gained 500%. Well, that's good though, right? I feel like that's those. You're putting up some fat numbers there. Have you ate the magic mushrooms? You know, I have absolutely eaten magic mushrooms. And you know what? I actually just wrote like an earwid.org like trip experience like comment on Reddit. I will show you what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Here it is. All right. So
Oh well.
I accidentally ate about 18 grams when I was 17 years old at the Summer Camp Festival in Chillicothe, Illinois, back in 2003. They were in some delicious veggie quesadillas the hippie folks in the tents next to us were selling for dirt cheap, and I ate 3. I didn't know they were special quesadillas until a bit later. There was an eighth of mushrooms in each of them.
Damn.
I had just eaten a quarter of mushrooms, the most I'd ever eaten, about 20 to 30 minutes before eating the quesadillas.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Well, I tripped hard. Really hard. I blacked out several times and, of course, had some intense, enlightening thoughts and visuals. I tripped for 10 hours or so. It was like 10 to 12. Can't really remember how long. And a nice hippie couple had to help me find my tent and friend group. I had been missing from my crew for about 4 to 7 hours when I wandered off on my little adventure.
Wow.
To this day, though, I will never forget the out-of-body experience aspect that must have occurred when I peaked. Had I never had this experience, I wouldn't actually believe they were a real experience that people could have. I'd assumed people were full of shit. But as a huge skeptic, I implore you that they are real. In the blink of an eye, I was suddenly floating behind myself. I could see my true self, so yourself not in a reflection, and I flew up into the air and could see the fairgrounds, the stages set up, the tent cities where festival goers were partying, the row of concession tents and trailers, the parking lot, and the far-off main road that led to the campgrounds. I could hear the music and laughter and voices of people down below that the air was carrying up. I was about where it felt like I was 150 plus feet in the air, just floating there with no physical body. I suddenly zoomed down very quickly, and with a blink of an eye, I was back in my body again, dancing in a huge crowd, listening to a band called Mo perform. People were smiling and dancing all around me, and I swear to you, a couple standing next to me looked over and smiled at me in this knowing way, and I felt a weird love and connection for them. The current song ended, and they said hi to me, and they asked how I was. We spoke for just a minute before I left the stage, but in that time, I discovered they lived a street down from me in my suburb in Cleveland, in Shaker Heights. We had never met before, and it was a bit of a mindfuck and coincidence for all 3 of us. I never saw them again when I left the stage area. I still think about it sometimes 20 years later, and it drops a shiver down my spine.
Amen.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
This is not Earwid, casual meme fan. I'm so happy you said that because I didn't have the courage to try LSD until I read a shitload of earwid.org trip experiences for LSD. And I read and I read and I read all these experiences, both good and bad, and enlightening and frightening and fun and goofy. And I finally thought to myself, okay, this is going to be okay. And I did it. And that led to about 4 months straight of hardcore LSD use. But it was good. Slightly personality changing and very fun, very good. To this day, I think that the acid had a lasting effect. And then this mushroom,
I mean, look at you.
I know. But yeah, it was an accidental heroic dose. Good to see you, Jafar. Yeah, it was hardcore. Out of body experience. It felt so real. I was behind myself like a camera, and I even like went in front of my own face. I could see myself. I had like, like a sweaty brow. My hair was in my eyes, my Ashton Kutcher stoner do, and I could like see my
Hot,
true
bro.
self. Yeah, super
Hot,
hot.
bro.
I could see my true self. It was so weird, and I floated in. Well, not even floated. I flew quickly up into the air,
Superman.
and I didn't have like butterflies or anything. I didn't have a physical body. Like there was no fear of it. I was just up there. I don't know. It was fucking weird.
Astral projection.
Exactly. Let's see here. For both of you, best film that accurately depicts life in the service, and then best war film in general. Best war film for me is Saving Private Ryan. The best that accurately depicts life in the service is probably Jarhead. To some degree. Some of the sniping shit, maybe not. Like a couple of the missions they were on, I don't know. I wasn't a Marine sniper. But a lot of downtime. And then when shit hits, it's go, go, go. And then a lot more downtime.
Yeah.
Hurry
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. Yeah. How about you?
So I would definitely agree with the critics, just because when you talk to the vets about their World War II experiences, they always cite Saving Private Ryan as the pinnacle of what we've been able to capture on film. Um, Jarhead's okay. There was a recent film that I watched on an airplane, and I can't remember its name, um, but it depicted a military team in Iraq and kind of all the shit that they went through. It had the who's the actor who played Beast in X-Men and the new movies? He was pretty much the main character.
Oh yeah, that guy.
But it was really good, and there's some fucked up shit that happened that you hear from
Nicholas Holt, this guy?
Yeah, so what was his American military venture? Um, I thought that was pretty good. It upset me as a military member, but only because some of what they were pointing out was true, and it made you reflect on some of our motives.
Sandcastle?
Yeah,
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So I enjoyed Sandcastle. It made me uncomfortable to watch as a military member, but partially because there were some uncomfortable truths that it exposed. So if you haven't seen it, it's probably worth a watch.
So can you give us like a truth that was exposed that was weird?
So this dude did not want to join, and he kind of found himself in the military, and then he got into it, and then he watched some of his compatriots die, and you kind of see him dealing with that. And then as he's leaving, they made all these efforts to correct this village in Iraq, and it nothing really changed. So he's coming to terms with the fact that he did all these things and his friends died, and at the end of the day that nothing was really gained, and you kind of internalize that. And I think I watched it right after we watched the withdrawal from Afghanistan, so I was going through my own personal shit with that, like knowing that I'd learned a language in the region and spent all this time trying to change a situation that was unchangeable. So that kind of resonated in me. So like sometimes our military objectives work out and sometimes they don't. And for the people that are personally involved, it can be painful when they do not, and you sense this futility. So
I should watch this.
it's good.
Is it?
It's good
Is
because
it
it's bad.
Operation Iraqi Freedom?
Yes.
I should watch it. God, my throat is fucked up. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. I'm 54 and 100% retired. I have zero mortgage, children raised and educated. Living the dream, Ice. Living the dream. Good to see you, Andy. Hello, sir. I tripped my first 2 times in Shaker and had ego death. It was the most terrifying, greatest experience of this day. Hawaiian Dane, dude. My first trips were all in Shaker as well. I tripped at this place. You're going to see an image right off the bat here.
Ooh, Lakeview Cemetery.
You guys are going to see an image right off the bat here.
I don't know if I'd want to trip in a cemetery.
This right here.
Nope. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. So I saw this
Move and talk to you.
while tripping
Jesus
on
Lord.
LSD.
Nope.
Let me see if I can get a bigger picture of it.
Oh my God.
This is Roosevelt's or Garfield's monument. Rockefeller's buried here. It's a crazy fucking cemetery. It's beautiful. And we took 3 hits of Fractal Planes blotter LSD
Oh my God.
and walked around. This dude moved this thing. I'll never forget it though. This is when I was right past the come up, pre-peaking. And this thing, we started walking toward it. We stepped on the grass. And when we stepped on the grass, she stood up, started flapping her wings, and she raised the sword, and that the streaks in her eyes were like black blood glistening and dripping down her body.
Oh my God.
And we looked at each other, me and my friend Bill, and this guy Doug, who was like our little
Spirit
trip
guy.
buddy. Yeah, he was sober, and he was a massive acid head. He once took 200 hits of acid doing thumbprints. He was very
God.
spun, but he was very cool, hippie guy. White dude with dreads. But we kind of stopped and looked at each other, and Doug, not tripping, said, maybe we should step off the grass and back onto the path. And we just looked at him, we were like, okay, and we were freaked out. And I turned around and I stepped back on the path and looked back, and she was sitting back down again, just watching us.
Wow.
And we were like, let's not go in the grass.
Holy shit.
It was weird as fuck.
That picture right there is enough to make me fuck out sober.
Pretty wild, right?
Jeez.
It was a mind fuck. Hallucinogens are good, kids. Take them as an adult, kids. I had LSD, coke, and MDMA high that ruined everything that I knew and couldn't get high again. Oh, Jesus. Sorry to hear that. Withdrawal of Afghanistan kicked me in the balls that I can't explain. Afghanistan?
Yeah, the recent one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a kick in the balls. I couldn't.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I couldn't even attend the 9/11 memorial
Bagram,
service
yeah.
that they had that week just because I couldn't handle it. I don't know, because it's like it's an identity thing, and so there's a bunch of what I would call 9/11 vets retiring right now. So like I'm really close to retirement. I just retired a dude that joined during 9/11. So there's a changing of the guard right now in the U.S. military as we're focused away from the Middle East and Southwest Asia to more China, Russia. And yeah, for those people that were focused on Afghanistan, watching that withdrawal was pretty painful because you attach yourself to it. And then when it doesn't work out, you wonder about your self-worth. And it's not easy.
Yeah, I was at Bagram in 2007. And when I saw the image of the aircraft taking off with people falling off of it, essentially just leaving them in the dust, I was angry. I was angry. I was fucking mad. Here's me turning 21 years old in Bagram.
Wow.
Skinny little
Skinny
crazy fuck.
JT.
I know.
Yes.
I know. Pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. And then there's actually a better image. Exactly. Baby Jacer. Exactly.
Baby Jason. Speaking of babies.
Oh, look at the baby. You guys can see Tristan here in a minute. Let's see here. Ooh. Where was Oh, here it is. 2007.
Oh,
It's a bit of a
jeez.
geeky picture.
He's armed, ladies and
I know.
gentlemen.
It's
Look at that face.
it's ridiculous, but this was Bagram. The aircraft in that video you saw, where the Afghanis are literally falling off of it as they left Bagram, would be taking off right behind me, going from the bottom right of the screen to the top left of the screen. You would have saw it taking off behind me. Fucking ridiculous, right? Good times, Kappa. Okay. Let's X that. All right. I think Tristan shit himself, which is a common occurrence because he's a baby, so it's fine. You don't have to be alarmed. Walking through Lee's plantation in Arlington Cemetery is so sobering. That sounds wild. How big is that cemetery? Isn't that the biggest in the country, Arlington? I think that's our biggest national cemetery, right? If I'm not mistaken. I'm on edibles, and now that you told me that story, I really like that statue. I know.
Congratulations.
Yeah, very nice, Marshall. I feel like the statue was doing its job, and we showed respect, so she sat down. But it was sobering, if you will, looking at some of those headstones, tripping your balls off when you're like 16, 17, and they're like,
I mean, it probably
John lies here, beloved father, born fucking 1790, died
you stared,
1809. You're like, holy shit.
You stared death in the face, for sure.
19 years old, beloved father, died at the old age of 19. Like shit like that. You're just like, damn, that's basically me. It was weird. You served in the first Gulf War. Seeing the last plane taking off reminded me of my dad telling me of the fall of Saigon. History repeats itself. We were kind of talking about history repeating itself earlier before the stream started. That must have been a fucking wild thing for your dad to experience.
Yeah, I mean, it does rhyme. It's hard to measure the severity of Vietnam versus Afghanistan, but the impressions are similar. I would agree with that.
Let's see here. Favorite football teams. Sir, you have come to the wrong place for that.
Yeah. So I really like the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds for my football teams. I like sports ball a lot.
I don't have a favorite sports team. I don't know. I couldn't name one player on the San Francisco 49ers right now.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Are they one of the Super Bowl? Like, when's the Super Bowl? Did that happen already? I don't know.
I think Tim Tebow's really hot, and even now, I'd still probably bang him out.
Nice.
Yeah.
He'd probably let you.
I hope so.
Yeah, I don't know shit about. I can't name. I don't think I can name one active player beyond Tom Brady. Emmitt Smith retired. He doesn't count.
Who's the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Ben Roethlisberger.
Roethlisberger, the rapist guy.
Yeah. He's hot
Is he still?
I don't know,
playing?
but he could get it.
Does Raffle Stomperberger? Does he?
He could stomp my raffle.
Sure, he could. But so could most.
What are you trying to say, Jordan?
That you love.
I do. Love is love.
That. I respect that. So Raffle Stomperberger does not play anymore. Okay. Good. Did he go to jail or anything? Like,
no, I don't think so. I think he got away with everything.
wow, that's fucking crazy. Love is love. Do you guys want to see the baby?
Y'all.
Oh, there's a baby. Oh, he just slipped on his mama. Okay. We're gonna see the baby. He's a precious little baby. Look at that little angel baby. You grabbing your tip? Just grabbing your tip. Look at the baby.
Oh my gosh.
Look at the sweet little baby.
He is so sweet. Look at that little smile. Jordan, that is half of you. That's
Isn't that
great.
weird?
That's crazy to think about. You love Uncle Dusty, don't you? Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So
You love
sweet.
Uncle Dusty. Yes.
He's so good. Look at this sweet little baby. Oh, he's happy. Oh, he's so happy. Yeah. Look at that happy boy.
He is so happy.
He laughs and smiles all day long.
So cute.
Hi, baby. Hi, fat cheek baby. Look at this guy. He looks like the cocoa melon baby. Look, I'll show you. Coco. Tristan look like the cocoa. The cocoa melon. You look like the cocoa melon baby. You wait, boy, Coco. Coco Melon JJ. Look at this kid. I mean, come on. This is weird. Look at this. Oh, excuse you. The Coco. Coco Melon. Do you look like the Coco?
The Coco.
He looks like the
Oh, he's so
Coco.
talented. Oh my god.
Coco Melon. He's so cute.
Yes.
As you can see, he is loved. And he's very happy and he's very sweet. Good boy. Let's stand you up.
Thank God Tristan's looks and demeanor is 90% mom. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. You're so beautiful because you're your mom.
When he can speak, ask him the meaning of life and report back. Oh, yeah, that'll be exciting. A baby's or a little kid's thoughts on the meaning of life. Personal question from casual meme fan. What's the gem in the necklace?
So this is an emerald that I got in India when I was traveling there for the military. I went to see a guru, and his name
He
is.
loves you. Look at him. He's staring you down.
I know, you're so handsome.
He's like, you got a caterpillar on your face.
His name is, so my travel guide's name was Janu, and I got turned on to him through somebody that I traveled with in Nepal. And anyway, he gave me some information that I didn't know was even possible. So, for example, my mother had a miscarriage in between myself and my sister that nobody really knew about. So after my reading, and he gave me this necklace, I called my mom. I'm like, "Is it true that you had a child between me and Jordan?" And my mom's like, "How do you know that?
His sister's name is Jordan.
How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Well, my Indian guru told me." And she's like, "What else did he tell you?" And I'm like, "Oh God, well, he told me some other shit too." But I didn't tell her those things. But anyway, I carry it as a protection thing. It's like a warding off of the evil eye, because in that culture, that's very important. And it's saved my bacon on more than one occasion, huh, buddy? Yes.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So it's an
funny.
emerald. Yeah.
That's funny, huh?
It is funny.
Is that funny?
It is so funny.
Is that funny, little baby?
It's so funny.
You are one drooly little baby.
It's so funny.
All right, Mom.
Thank
think
you.
we're good to go. Oh,
Oh,
yep. He's
oh.
bucking like a little.
Oh, that's
Little
your
colt.
cue, huh? He's so pretty.
He is such a precious little
Yes.
baby.
Uncle Justy loved you.
Precious little angel. Look at that good fat cheek baby. Fat cheek
He says, "Don't do drugs, Tristan." Good point. Please don't.
So sweet.
Just say no.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye-bye, baby.
Like,
Yeah, that's a bashful smile, huh?
Oh,
So sweet. He is a good, sweet little baby.
well, so I'm curious what's on their minds. Like, so there's a lot of shit going on in the world. What is freaking out people the most right now?
Oh, yeah. What's freaking you guys out about planet Earth right now? Dude, baby smiles and laughs are the best because you know they're intense and genuine. Those are hard to find the older you get. True that. Him smiling and laughing is heart melting. It's the best. There's nothing like it.
Freaking eggs. Yeah, what's up with the eggs thing? I'm not super familiar. Is there a shortage?
I don't know. Is there a shortage?
I believe there is. There's something going on.
Wait, can you explain the egg thing?
Planet Earth, everything. Yeah.
I like when babies grab your finger. Oh yeah, when they hold on your pinky with their whole hand. It's adorable. 2 rounds of bird flu, avian flu. Costs of bird feed going up. I guess where was the bird flu epidemic at? Where in the world? I don't know shit
I'm
about
guessing
this.
China.
I'm missing info. Sorry.
All roads point to China.
Bazooga. What's up, man? What's up, Jay Wedge? Good to see everybody. Hello. Escalation in Ukraine probably freaks me out the most. All the footage has been very disconcerting.
Yeah.
Especially the U.S. mass callings. Media in the United States only giving news it sells out. I don't consume any media except like Twitch and YouTube shit I like, and I try to find unbiased news sources on fucking Reddit like an idiot.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to do for news? Like, it's to the point where I don't know where to go to get real information. and that scares me, to be honest, a little bit, because we have access to so much of it more than ever, and I trust it. I guess the least I ever have. It's fucking bizarre. It's a mind fuck. Just Google the avian flu, and the CDC website says across the U.S. No shit. I guess, yeah. I think I heard like that they're really expensive in San Francisco. Egg prices, San Francisco.
I knew when you
Andy.
walked in here that you were going to be spectacular.
Andy.
Oh, Thimoon!
Thank you, darling. You are required to subscribe to the channel, so thank you. Let's see. 12 eggs in San Francisco is $7 to $8 right now. That seems pretty ridiculous. Isn't it typically like half that? Pretty sure. Hawaiian
Right.
Dane.
Oh, Dad was really good when you.
Thelma and Louise. Ride or die. Like,
Ride or die,
yeah,
bitches.
fuck yeah.
Y'all.
Escalation in Ukraine freaks you out the most. We'll get to that in a minute, I'm sure. I'm a firm believer that there's an awakening happening. The realm is splitting into 3D and 5D. Alien invasion is going to happen sometime within the next 10 years. Don't buy it. I personally think it's going to be done with drones. I don't know what the gas stove thing is. What's that all about? But yeah, that's kind of a good point, Hawaiian Dane. Like, it'll be like a Mysterio-esque move, right? In Spider-Man. It's all an illusion, it's fake, but will it be the thing that brings us all together? No, you need an otherworldly threat at this point to get humanity to squat up and get lit, fam, right? How are we going to come together without something insane like a pandemic, which that didn't really work, or aliens? So you could be right. There could be some like false flag, crazy fucking thing that happens in our lifetimes. We'll see. I still work for a 3-letter company in large money market corp between baseball seasons. Ooh. Are you in the NSA? The 21 states was 2015. The recent one was 46 states. Oh, for the bird flu shit?
Yeah.
Project Bluebeam. Oh, is that the fake alien invasion thing, Annalie? Anunnaki versus the reptilians. So I don't believe in the lizard people. I think that's a no-go. The Anunnaki, you know, the 9th, what is it? The 10th planet? 9th planet at this point?
Past Pluto.
Yeah, it's the planet that is has a super wide orbit and only comes around.
So it's a planetoid. Yeah.
Well, it's probably a frozen planet, and then it gets closer to the sun. Maybe shit thaws out a little bit, and I don't know, life sprouts back up. I don't know. I never read the book. What's the name of the book? And who's the guy that wrote that shit? Let me see. It's pretty fascinating. What the fuck was the name of that shit? Who was the original author of that? Do you guys know in chat? Can't remember.
Political fracturing, inflation.
If you guys remember, let me know. I don't want to search it. I'm lazy. Oh, that's Nibiru. Oh, that's right. I don't know. I can't fucking keep that shit together. Now there's like Avatar aliens and shit probably coming to Earth now too. Who knows? Let's see. Do either of you watch anything from Gaia? Plethora of fun stuff. No, I don't know what that is. What's Gaia?
It's a channel that you can get through Amazon or other means. It's like I don't know how to describe it. There's some conspiracy stuff on there. There's some like ancient alien stuff. It kind of like Crystal. It kind of takes a different look at things that happened in the past. Some of it's good. Esoteric stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, Stitchin, the 12th planet. That's right. That's what I was thinking of. That shit's crazy. Okay. Well, while we have the Colonel in the house, we have to broach Ukraine for at least a few minutes.
Okay.
I guess from your perspective as a military commander, career military man.
Okay.
What is the current situation in Ukraine? Where do you predict it could go without saying anything that will fuck over your career? Obviously, I don't know what you can say.
Yeah.
But like, what are your what's happening right
Well,
now, and what are your thoughts?
So
Where are things gonna
the
go?
objective strategy of the United States is to provide as much indirect support to Ukraine as we can to prevent the Russians from succeeding in their venture to take shit over, right? And we've been largely successful, way more than we thought we would be.
Is that because they have dropped the ball so hard?
It's partially because of the tenacity of the Ukrainians and partially because we've overestimated the Russian military. So the Russians did very, very well in their limited ventures. They did super good in Syria and preventing us from doing what we wanted to do with the Assad regime. But in this case, they kind of went too far and went beyond their means. And yeah, so us and our NATO allies are given a bunch of money and weapons, and the Ukrainians know how to use them because we've trained them to do so, and it's worked like drastically well. And now the Russians, they're not out of people, but they are starting to run out of weapons and equipment. And some would suggest that even the support for the effort is starting to dwindle. But it's a patience game, right? Like you don't win that stuff overnight. So in my view, as a military person, and as most people in the country, from what I think, would believe, we got to keep the momentum going, and it's probably worth what we're giving to the Ukrainians because a direct war would cost way, way more in lives and money and treasure. So that's what's happening in my view. They're doing very well, and nobody thought they would do as good as they are.
Chances of nuclear warfare?
Slim to none.
Really? Why do you say that confidently? You say that very, very confidently. Most people would not think that. Most people would think that there's a moderate chance of a nuke being dropped in Ukraine.
Just because it would take a highly irrational actor, and despite
Yes.
despite Putin's lack of wisdom in this conflict, I don't know that he's ready to end the world over his own ego. I could be wrong, but my gut just tells me that even he is not willing to light the world on fire just because he was wrong to go in Ukraine. But that's just an opinion. It's not a military position.
What about with his faculties failing him from like cancer or whatever, and him getting old and being afraid that if he continues to fuck up, that he'll just be overthrown and some younger guy will take it? Would he do something rash if that was happening, do you think? But now we're getting into the mind of Putin,
Yeah,
which is hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
that's hard to make those speculations, but
Yeah.
I would hope that there's somebody rational enough within the Russian regime to stop that in the event that he wanted to do it.
But isn't the people closest to him now, aren't
Not
these
telling him
guys,
anything.
they're not telling him anything, and aren't they just as kind of wild and nuts as him?
No.
Isn't he murdering the people that question him?
Yes, but at the same time, when you start doing that, that means even your loyalists stop bringing you information.
Because they don't want to get killed.
Right, and the same thing is happening to Xi Jinping in China. So all this strongman bullshit eventually backfires when nobody wants to present you anything that's true for fear of death or, exile or whatever. So you become very isolated the stronger you are when you don't listen to people. So we just got to wait for it to play out, I think. But we're doing really well. In USAFE, or the Air Forces in Europe, we have we're ready if shit were to go down, but we're hopeful that it won't and that we won't have to, because that's always the goal, is to not ever have to fire a shot and just allow diplomacy and the threat of violence to prevail.
USAFE is United States Air Force Europe, the European Command. That's what USAFE is, if you're wondering. How much longer is this shit gonna go on, do you think?
My opinion?
Yeah.
Another year.
That's it?
Yeah. About a year. They're already getting tired.
Okay, and in that year, how much more damage do you think will be done, not just to Ukraine, but to Russia too? Do you think this will affect Russia to the point where there's another collapse like the Soviet Union? Like in a similar fashion, or not the same, obviously, but similar?
So they don't have as far to fall this time, right? Like if you think about the Soviet Union, that was
huge.
However
It
many
spread.
states that were part of the Union. I think this will set Russia back economically and militarily at least a decade.
And also just from a cultural perspective and just where they stand on the world stage too. Like, isn't this going to hurt them for like a couple of generations before people forget a little bit?
It will, but if you look at Russian history, they are arguably one of the most resilient groups of people in the world. They've suffered the most military casualties of any nation ever to exist,
Over and over and over
at
again.
least that we're tracking.
Yeah.
So you got to give it to the Russians. No matter how much of a beating they take, they always get back up. So even after this, I think the Russian resolve as a people will be intact. I just hope they get a leader that can um, give them a better future than what they're facing right now.
It's sad. Okay. This format of streaming is awesome. Please do more. Ice, yeah, I plan on doing an Ask Soma Anything every Sunday. Of course, the tabletop RPG night will be every Monday. And I will be starting, if the plan goes the way I want it to, next Sunday I will be starting a Dark and Darker podcast with Donnie. You guys know Donnie Taco from chat and from D&D and RPG night. He was Jabba the Hutt. He was Mortimer, the wizard / warlock. Very funny, cool guy. I play a lot of Daisy with him as well. It'll be him, myself, and Jay Griffia TV. He's Jay Griffia. He is the #1 ranked wizard in the world. Where he was in the last playtest anyway. He's a newer streamer, really cool guy. So the three of us are gonna do like an hour-long weekly Dark and Darker podcast just to like hype the game up because we're all like in love with it. And think ESO podcast back in the day, like 2013 when I was doing that with Deegan. It's going to be a similar-ish format maybe, but it'll be 1 hour. We'll have intros and outros and a Q&A section, then one main segment that we cover. That'll be patch notes, playtest notes, class rundown, our wish list of what will come to the game. If they release a roadmap, we'll cover that one episode. All kinds of stuff. It's just going to be like a hype cast, kind of like ESO. But this time, we actually know the game is good, unlike ESO, which was a big bowl of steaming shit. So it'll actually be worth putting in those hours and the time into that podcast, unlike the old one. Rest in peace, ESO podcast. Vodcast. Let's see here. How much do you think BlackRock has a hand in what's going on over there? Well, that's meta. I don't know.
No idea.
I mean, there's a couple of those companies, right? Not just BlackRock, but I'm sure there's got to be some semblance of money moving around, right? I mean, every time America gives Ukraine billions and billions of dollars, I don't think anyone thinks 100% of those funds are going right to Ukraine and right to military assets for Ukraine. There's definitely some skimming going on because that's America, and that's how.
That's not America. That's any.
That's people.
That's any
That's
society
people.
ever.
You're right. That's people.
But I mean, we're
It's
guilty
just
of
people.
it. But,
Yeah, that's true. USA should strike while they're hurting. Nah, I don't. It wouldn't be a good idea. If we struck, it'd be right to nukes. It'd be bad. No.
maybe not right to like so. We always act like, oh, it's going to go straight to nuclear war, as if we haven't consulted the Russians behind closed doors as to like, hey, if this happens, what would you do? Like, people don't understand those conversations happen between the diplomats. Like, if you bomb this shit, we're going to do this, right? Take that back to your leaders. So there's a planned escalation in the event that the war happens. And that could always twist, right? Like, the generals or the president could order something different. But
of course, that's
there's a gentleman's or ladies' agreement about how this could go tit for tat, whether that's with the Chinese or the Russians.
The Chinese would never honor that, though. Cheating is baked into their society. At school, if you cheat and get away with it, that's considered a good thing.
But when you know that the ramifications are the death of your citizens, you might think twice.
They already don't care about their citizens over there. The one COVID policy, or the no COVID policy with the lockdowns.
They care about
and shit.
legitimacy, though. So if their citizens are all enraged like they were with the COVID lockdowns, it could impact, the government. So they know what the battle plan is to a large extent. not at the classified level, but they have an idea. I wouldn't say they would absolutely go to nukes just because, but it would not be pretty, and there would be blood lost on both sides if we were to strike outright. An indirect conflict for the Americans is a much better option for our national interests at this point, in my opinion. Not a military position. This is just Justin's personal opinion.
So, a couple of times we've done this, we've talked about the CCP. And at times we were worried, pretty worried about what they could do on the world stage and how they could pull ahead significantly. But in the last year,
Yeah.
things have taken a fucking turn over there with
Oh,
like
yes.
Evergrande and like the real estate debacle. The Chinese currency is kind of plummeting right now as well.
The lies about their census have come up, and
Yeah.
the population distribution is way more out of whack than we actually thought it was, as far as the old versus the young. Yeah, there's a lot of factors that have changed that have actually made me, how do I put this, less worried about a Chinese threat in the immediate future. We'll see what happens as the years shake out. But with Xi consolidating power, at first we were scared because it's like, what will he do if he's the next Mao Zedong? But if you look at what's going on in their country with COVID and how their bureaucracy is basically frozen, you wonder if that would also translate if there was another national emergency with something that was military. I don't know. That's speculation. But they have been slower to act over COVID, and they are taking notes on what we are doing with Russia when Russia invaded another country and or territory. And I think it's given them pause about how they may or may not want to handle the Taiwan situation. We'll see.
Oh, Taiwan. We got to get into that in a little bit. Let's see what chat's saying. Thank you for that, sir.
Sure.
Oh, this is a kind of a cool. Wait, let me scroll it. Sure. What do you think, or who do you think attacked the Nordic gas pipeline? What's up, Grixis?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a fucking weird thing, right? Dude, who knows? I'm sure we'll find out one day. I just imagine like some like Tom Clancy novel kind of thing. Like there was like some special forces guys, like a spy out there trying to stop it, and the terrorists came and blew it up. But I don't know. Who knows?
Do we believe about the 50 U.S. Bradley IFVs will make a tangible difference? I think it depends on how they're used. So if they're used in the way that we've trained them to do, as in only use them when you know they're not going to get blown up themselves, they could make quite a bit of difference. So if you use them against infantry in the proper way, yeah, they could really make a difference. Would they prefer to have more? Yes. Is that a political question as to how much we could give them? Yes. So yeah, the Bradley IFVs are great war machines. It just you have to have a certain superiority on the battlefield to use them correctly. But I think they're achieving that often. So we'll see.
Okay. 7 Cheese Pizza says, I think I just pooped my pants. Well, when you consume that much dairy, I'm not surprised. Not surprised. The CIA obviously did it. Dude, not obviously, but who fucking knows? Who knows? Yes, my personal fear is the CCP. I would actually join any army to fight that. If it got to that point where America was going to get in a hot war. Okay, let's broach that. What would a hot war with China look like? Let's take nukes off the table. Let's pretend there's no nukes,
Yeah.
but everything else stands, right?
Okay.
I guess you kind of do have to consider the nuclear piece on the board though, because that puts into consideration not making certain moves, right? So let's say nukes exist, but they will not be used.
Okay.
What would a hot war look like between China and the United States and their allies and ours?
Our power projection would stem out of Kadena, which is an island in Japan. We have our most military assets there, whether they're Marine, Navy, Air Force. China would launch a series of missile strikes against Kadena, probably also in Korea, just to try to cripple the other assets that are up there with the Army and the Air Force. And then in return, we would try to.
Should I bring up a map? I'm gonna
Yeah.
bring up a map.
Yeah,
One
sure.
second, guys.
we would try to bring in American forces to other bases that are smaller. So it becomes a question of supply lines and how how long it would take to really get other military forces in the area to prevent them from taking over Taiwan. The fear is that by the time we reacted, the Chinese would be so entrenched in Taiwan with ground troops that it would be impossible to undo that once it's done. And that's a loss, right? Like they're not on American soil, but we would have failed in our objective to prevent a an invasion of Taiwan from China. So, and if you look at it, if I can mess with your map
Yeah, of
here, like
course.
look how close Taiwan is. You've got Japan up here, but even if you're launching out of here, like that's not enough. So if a missile strike crippled all of this, now you're talking about Guam trying to get these airplanes or another carrier group that's been decimated by the initial barrage of missiles from San Diego. Holy shit, like that's a long way to go.
Yeah.
So it's timing, and time and distance in this scenario are not necessarily on our side. That's all unclassified, by the way.
So Taiwan, no matter what goes down, they're being taken.
Yeah, if
I mean, it makes
if they
sense.
choose to
Yeah.
take it, they're going to take it. The question is, can they hold on to it? And at that point, it becomes irregular warfare with the United States backing insurgency groups within Taiwan to fight the Chinese. And then we're talking about the type of warfare we were fighting in the Middle East and in Southwest Asia for 2 decades. And
But even crazier,
that
like
will
urban Chinese.
much worse. But that will wear on a military. So you would think China's been watching and seeing how hard it was for us. It would be even more difficult for them. And then let's say we have nothing to lose. Well, now let's say, all right, China, now you're our official enemy. Well, now I'm arming Uyghurs over here and trying to embolden them against the CCP. And oh, by the way, you thought you took Hong Kong. Well, now you're getting support from allies to fight you there too. So that war could go a lot of different ways that I think that we can't even predict.
We haven't even considered India.
Well,
They have 1 billion people that
they have 1 billion people, and not only that, but they're having current skirmishes. So they fought 2 wars in these areas on their borders, and India lost both of them, which they're pretty pissed about. Toe to toe, India right now would get their asses kicked, but if the Chinese are dealing with the Americans supporting Taiwan's insurgents, and now Japan's pissed off because they're concerned about Chinese aggression, well, then India might become a bigger player and all that. Now, and then you're going to have the economic war that's going on at the same time, sanctions against the Chinese, an aging population. Like the Chinese got to be careful with how much aggression they choose to wield, and I really don't know. There's 1,000 different variables that could shake out, and anybody that makes a suggestion about how it's really going to go that's all it is speculation. I'm not smart enough to really say what will actually happen.
It's fucking crazy.
There's a lot going on. I think if it were me and I was general of the whole military for a day, I would be making as good of friends here and here. You might be surprised, but most Vietnamese have a higher opinion of America than they do the Chinese, even though they're both communists. So we need to make inroads here, more in Thailand, more in the Philippines, more down here across Malaysia and Indonesia. Because if shit goes to a fuck stick and they do like an electromagnetic pulse and you can't use any technology, then you're going to want friends to continue to fight the war. It's fascinating.
Isn't the American military very well conditioned and trained to fight without, if an EMP dropped, don't we have the ability to, more so than most militaries in the world, to perform very well? Don't we practice for, like, if a nuke went off and an EMP dropped and there was, electrical signals went out and we didn't have access to satellite technology or something like that?
We do practice that, but we still are heavily reliant upon our technology. So even practicing that once a year, um, we would have to be pretty resilient. But I will say that our military is resilient more than most because we rely on the smarts of our lowest ranks to really like fight the battle. Whereas other cultures, like in Confucian culture, which is obviously from China, it's authoritarian based and you get all your marching orders from one source. In the US military, we try to empower our lowest levels of leadership to carry on the fight. So, in that regard, we could probably do pretty well if you stripped away all technological advantage. We could keep the fight coming better than our adversaries, in my opinion, but that's probably biased.
Hmm. What about Chinese military assets, including their navy, compared to the U.S.?
Mm.
Isn't it only their standing army that dwarfs ours?
Not anymore. So their navy is not yet as powerful as ours, but
Not even close, though, right? Just sheer numbers, right?
so they are developing aircraft carriers that have the same capacity as some of ours.
But they
So
only have like two or three, right?
two or three, but if you look at our carrier groups, we have our carrier groups throughout the world. So not everything is in PACOM or Pacific Command. So if there's a standoff here, but they also have land-based missiles that can hit aircraft carriers out here, we're still fucked, right? And then
Yeah.
so you don't need to match ship to ship when you have
Land
ground-based
sites, yeah.
missiles that can still eliminate a sea threat.
You would actually be doing damage sending in carrier groups, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Just
What
just like giving them free kills.
what you would need is an air campaign that would neutralize their air defense systems, and
Stealth
you
bombers.
could knock out all of their missile platforms, and then once you did that, you could bring in a carrier group that could get sea dominance, and then an air force that can get air dominance. But that's a lot of loss of life and equipment and airplanes and boats before that actually happens, and we're not sure how that would all pan out in real time, and what we're tracking as active missile silos versus what they have that we don't really know about. And I'm not speaking enough to know intelligently what they really have. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Like there might be some shit that we don't know about.
So we bomb as many ground sites as we could with like stealth bombers. Then we would try to go in with another bombing campaign backed with air power, and then bring in navy.
Yeah, theoretically. But again, the problem is like if you eliminate these air bases here and here, then you're trying to launch out of Guam. Like that's a lot of distance. You might not have the tanker support to really
That's so
get,
much fuel.
yeah, to get these airplanes to where they need to be. And
Yeah.
that's why the geographic piece for the Chinese is their biggest advantage.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what you would need to do is have a massive coordinated strike
Well,
with Japan, with India,
yes,
with the
and that's
Koreans.
why like when people talk about why do we pay so much attention overseas with our allies? Well, this is the reason. You have the Japanese, which are really close, the Koreans that are really close, and even though these two motherfuckers don't like each other either, like they still know that this could be a bigger threat than either one of these two. And oh, by the
Big
way,
time.
these guys are hyper concerned about Chinese encroachment as well, and they're English speakers, which is why our ties with the Australians are still really well, very, very strong, arguably even stronger than with our Asian allies.
Hmm. What do you think NATO and the Brits would do in a hot war with China, America versus China? Like, what do you think our allies outside of this theater, what do you think they would do?
So
Just send
the
us.
Australians have been leaning more to the right as far as, well, really their politics mirror ours when you talk about conservative and liberal. So the Hawks would be more on the conservative side, which has been the trend in Australia. So a hot war with the United States means a hot war for the Aussies too,
Right.
the way that you look at it now. So you're talking about airplanes and ships that would also come up this straight to intervene in a hot conflict. I think a hot conflict is far less likely than an economic one.
But doesn't China win that?
No,
Because we've outsourced everything?
mm, I think China is a huge importer of food. They don't grow enough food
Mm.
to feed their own people. If all
Not
of,
with that population
right,
number.
so if all of our allies slap sanctions, then they're looking at a massive famine that could actually kill millions and millions of Chinese, which they don't want.
That's sad.
So this is a huge decision that I know that they've considered at the highest levels, and they know what it's going to cost them. So when they do it, they're going to really think that it's worth it to have a true blue one China policy. True blue, that's ironic, but a true red one China policy.
All right, let's talk to chat. That was a cool breakdown. What's up, Crutchy? Good to see you. We got Colonel Justin here. Yeah. Funny point is time was taken by China's pro-diplomatic party against farmers that originally were pro-communist, became capitalist. First island chain is the biggest threat to the USA. The first island chain? Which first island chain, Ice?
I think he's talking about the one that's. Well, what is he talking about? This island chain? Which one is he?
That's Japanese, right? Let us know, Ice. You said the Chinese would be able to entrench on Taiwan. That assumes their amphibious assault succeeds. Did you think the recent 6 days ago news about the Center for Strategic and International Studies war game was inaccurate to conclude that China would lose within 3 weeks? Well, where is the Center for Strategic International Studies based?
In DC.
In DC. So is there not a bias?
So there's been several reports by different agencies. Some have said that they would lose that campaign. Others say that it would be a stalemate. Others say that it would be a Chinese victory. But if China's throwing everything they have at it, so it's not just an amphibious assault, but there's an airborne response, and they're dropping thousands of troops in parachutes into Taipei. That's another scenario. So it's not just amphibious, and they would obviously use every option that they could.
Yeah.
If you see just the sheer amount that they've been able to bombard Taiwanese airspace with just commercial and military airplanes, that saturates any kind of air defense of the Taiwan like defense system. There's a lot of things that are going to get through. So probably amphibious and air assault, which implies to me like once armed Chinese troops are on the ground in Taipei, you're not going to need thousands and thousands to win. Yeah, I think if they threw everything that they had, including the kitchen sink, they could take Taiwan. It's just a question of how long they could hold on to it.
But that's where India comes in.
No, the Indians wouldn't attack just because of Taiwan.
No, well, if America got into, we're talking about an American hot war.
India.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
The Aussies, yes.
A different scenario. Okay.
India, no. India's going to sit back and watch and maybe fortify their borders here in the north part, and then here where they're also weak on this part of the border.
Yeah, isn't China damn? There's a river that flows into. Where's that river? There's like a river system that flows from China down into India, and the Chinese are damming it to stop the flow of water into India, and India's super pissed. I can't remember.
I could see that.
They're building like there's a ton of dams.
Well, India does that to Pakistan right now, and that pisses the fuck out of Pakistan. Oh, he says the first island chain is Japan, Taiwan.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Let's see here. Let's plug this in. This for
It's got to be that.
where's the
So that runs into more Bangladesh.
yeah? What are they talking about?
So I'm not sure.
There's some fucking river. I guess maybe this one.
India will shut down the Malacca Straits. Maybe if it's in their interests at the time, they would have the ability to do that. If it depends, because I mean, India's only been our ally in this regard, and they won't even say it directly, but they're realizing more and more that they are the regional counterbalance to the Chinese, which is why we've sided more with India recently than Pakistan. It used to be the opposite. In the 1980s, in fact, India hated us because they were allied more with the communists. But that's changed a lot. And by the way, if you ever travel around India and you ask them who their favorite American is, most Indians will say Barack Obama. They love Obama, which is cool, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What if India and China had a hot war? America had nothing to do with it. Take Taiwan out of the question.
Mm.
Besides us, who would come to India's aid, and how fucked would India be?
Hmm. I don't. That's tough. I don't know that we would get directly involved immediately. I think that we would sanction whoever the aggressor was. Um, Hindu society tends to be more pacifist in
Right.
that they'll retaliate, but they won't instigate a war usually. So the Chinese would probably be the aggressors in said situation, in which case we would still put economic sanctions on the Chinese and then see what happens next, I think.
Okay. What are the chances that Korea gets steamrolled by the Chinese? Because I'm sure China probably thinks that this is their peninsula, right?
They don't,
Really?
actually. Nope.
Wow. That's
So
really surprising to
if
me,
you
actually.
look back in ancient history, Korea was always sort of this independent fiefdom. They would pay homage to the Chinese and their emperors, but in exchange, they were kind of left to their own devices.
Hmm.
But when you're stuck in between China and Japan, Korea is considered to be like the Poland of Europe, as in like these are the Germans and these are the
Right.
Russians. Like
And they're
you
stuck in the
don't want to
middle.
be
They're
stuck in the middle of two
between a
larger
rock and a hard
powers
place. Yeah.
than you are, and that's why like when Japan invaded before World War II, all the atrocities that happened here were gross. So Korea's always been kind of stuck in the middle. But even historic ties, China doesn't see the Korean Peninsula as something that they own. They would certainly wish to dominate economically and politically, but I don't see them taking it over and putting up a CCP flag in Seoul. I don't see that
Yeah.
as a thing.
This is an interesting little border right here. Holy shit. You got Russia, you got North Korea, you got China.
Mm-hmm.
God damn. Imagine living in this fucking town. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And god damn, Russia, you are just too fucking big. Fuck, man, so much unusable land. But far in the future, if ice melts and whatever your stance is on, climate change or whatever, they're in a good position to have a lot of fucking new land, right? Because all this is just frozen permafrost shit up here, right?
Yeah, assuming there's not a bunch of viruses under the permafrost that kills all of us, yeah, Russia could be the new California in the years to come.
Denmark too with
and,
Greenland.
and I mean, and these maps kind of
Skew the actual
yeah,
size.
yeah. They
It's not a true representation
right,
of the land masses. Yeah, yeah.
but still, that's still a shit ton of land.
It's like double, like
Yeah,
China, double America, right?
yeah.
Something crazy like that, more than double. It's fucking wild. Wow. And why the fuck aren't we doing more with Alaska? I feel like we need to dig into Alaska more. I don't
Ooh,
know.
that's a charged statement, JT.
I know. Well, at least utilize the land more. I don't know. That is a charged statement. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, chat. uh,
Maybe that's where the aliens are. Yes, Hawaiian Dane, perhaps. Any good comments in here?
yeah, what do you guys got? Let's hear some questions.
Well, there's been a lot of typing.
Okay. I remember there was a document circling that showed all the apps Indian Army was banned from using. Oh yeah, like TikTok and shit. Yep. I don't know what happened with. You can compare the country's military strength on armedforce.eu.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Jacko. Thanks for removing that timeout on Jacko, Jim. All right, let's get some more questions, folks. What do you guys got for us? We got about 30 minutes left, so make them good. Is the U.S. military concerned with the lack of recruits since most young people are ineligible? Holy shit, that's a good
That's a
question.
very pertinent question. The military is in the middle of an identity crisis because the standards of which we've abided for the last 20 years are changing. So, for example, just take my mustache. This was not in regulations a year ago. They've changed the regulations to include larger mustaches. The women in the military can have longer hair and wear it in more liberal ways than they used to. And a lot of these efforts are to align with the younger generation and basically recruitment needs.
Oof.
So yes, we are concerned. Um, there is some resistance in all branches about the relaxation of military standards to keep recruitment levels where we need them to be. Um,
Scary.
I will tell you that we are not keeping pace with what we would want. So our voluntary force,
Public info too.
yeah, there's
It's
nothing
public info.
classified about that.
Yeah.
So we have to keep a all volunteer force according to our charter, right? So that is becoming increasingly challenging. In the event of a real war, could the United States go back to a draft? Absolutely, they could. But the goal of the DoD is to not have to do that. So we're trying to meet the next generation halfway. What that looks like and how it should look like are very different questions.
I can't
It depends
even
on who you ask. For old timers like me, it's hard because we grew up a certain way, and then you see standards changing, and you're like, "What the fuck's going on?" But if you know, what is the Chief of Staff of the Air Force phrase? It's accelerate change or lose. So he basically says, get with the times and change, or you're gonna fail, and we're trying to change.
I can't foresee a modern day draft succeeding well. It would be fucking bonkers trying to get TikTok teenagers to fucking go fight. What the fuck? I can't
What's
picture
that
it.
quote?
I can't picture it.
Hard people make soft times. Soft
No,
times.
let's get it right.
Yeah.
Hard times make strong men. Quote. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
And it goes in a circle.
And it goes in a circle.
That is a politically charged statement in a variety of ways. But
our good times have created weak men.
So, as a subscriber to Buddhism, Hinduism, and Taoism, I believe that the universe is a wheel, and you're either getting crushed by the wheel or being lifted up on it. And judge where we are right now. I think we've benefited from a lot of good times, and we're due.
The age of abundance is what it's called.
Yeah, we're due for some shit. Unfortunately,
the age of abundance is leaving. People fought tooth and nail against wearing a mask. Good luck getting them to agree to a draft.
Good point.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Good point.
Why can't we just be weak in peace? Because
we
as soon as we are right now.
We are.
That is true. We are. But eventually, the people with hard times that are strong, what do animals do? A strong animal attacks the weaker animal. It is in all animals' nature, basically, to do that, right? I mean, so I think
it's survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest, too. I would go back, hopefully, to avoid my boys getting inducted into the military, induced in the military. Look, my mom was a Marine, my dad was Navy, I was Air Force. I do not want Tristan to be in the military.
And I don't think the need for as many military personnel will be as pronounced in the future.
That's right.
I mean, we've got hypersonic missiles being developed by multiple countries, large land forces to occupy territories. I don't know that that's going to be a feature of future wars, especially with economics and technology and AI. Like, I don't think so. So maybe the military in general will take on a very different form. I talk about the Space Force, right? Like you have the highest frontier right now. It doesn't take that many people to control it. It's not a personnel based platform. It's a technology based platform. So the way we think about the military should probably be changing, and it is, and we are changing it. But it will require fewer individuals than it used to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Hard pass on Tristan joining the military? Yeah, that can happen. The wolf on top of the mountain has all the food it'll ever need. The wolves climbing the hill are the hungriest. I don't know what I was trying to title that. I don't know, but it read cool. It read cool, Hawaiian Dane. Ukraine has shown how quickly war has changed, how anti-tank weapons are super effective and way cheaper than a tank. War changes, yeah. Donnie, Good to see you, brother. I am very excited to start our Dark and Darker podcast next Sunday, Mr. Donnie. Very excited. Why can't I add you as a mod? Doesn't make sense. What?
Hmm.
I'm not allowed to make you a mod on my own channel? This doesn't make sense.
I don't even know what that means.
Give him extra powers.
Hmm.
That doesn't make sense. Well, Dodani is his other account. Donnie Taco and Dodani. He's the same guy. Same guy. Other account. Okay. We have talked about China and Ukraine and Russia and all that fun stuff for quite... Oh, there's another question or comment. With regards to funding, for several recent budgets, the military getting more from Congress than they initially asked for. Are there opportunities for savings, doing more with less? Or is it just too big of a beast to manage? It seems like a fucking massive beast. That's why we need to maintain, hence the perpetual money, right?
The military costs so much because we are essentially buying our influence across the world. So have we been the police of the world?
Fuck yeah.
Yes. Yes. But there are reasons for that. So we talked about the Malacca Straits. That's just one example of where American military presence ensures that trade goes uninterrupted. So what does that mean? It means that the billions of dollars from your taxes that are being invested into the Navy to keep those trade routes safe are keeping prices at Walmart manageable where they need to be. So it's a practical investment that we've made. We have throttled back on that and have far less regulation across the world right now than we have had in a couple decades. And you've already seen some of the ramifications of that with gas prices, with inflation, with security of trade. So the people that are hypercritical of military spending, I get it, because it takes a while to dissect how that's really paying off. But my counter argument would be to think of a world where we left international trade to the hands of the Chinese. And then ask yourself, is that a world that you think the United States would be benefiting from? If the answer is no, then maybe we need to look at military spending and cuts, but also like measure how much we really want to take away that influence, because the moment we create a vacuum, there will be others that will fill it.
That's right.
And what are the tertiary impacts of that? The United States didn't necessarily ask to have military dominance, but after World War II, when there was nobody left, we injected ourselves because there was nobody else to do it. So we made the rules in a way that would benefit us. Yes. Is that to the detriment of other countries? Well, it depends on how you look at it. If everybody is being elevated in their standard of living, you can look at that in two ways. Yes, the United States is benefiting more, but everyone else is benefiting too. So if there's a net gain, maybe that's overall a good thing. I playing devil's advocate, are we setting the rules in our favor in an unfair way? Yes, 100%.
That's what any player typically tries to do in a
Right,
game.
but the moment you say no, let's just not spend the money on the military and see what happens and who takes over the influence of international markets and political and military power, that's not a world that I want to be in as an American. So to answer your question, is there room for cuts of the budget? Yes, but should those be highly calibrated and thought out? Also, yes.
That was a great answer. Thank you for that. Very good answer. I hope to break the cycle too, Ice, with Tristan. Absolutely. Once American tourists are let back into Russia, will it be a good time to get a smoking hot Russian bride since so many young men died in the war?
Yeah.
Probably.
It's never a bad time to get a hot Russian bride, right?
I mean, you can order them online. You can DoorDash them at this point. Yeah. Let's see. Is China a paper tiger? I think we've come to the conclusion that they're not a paper tiger, right?
Well, I don't know that we have.
Okay. I thought, without saying it, that we realized that they are probably not the paper tiger that Russia is, and that they are a semblance of a threat. If anyone if any country is a threat to America or isn't a paper tiger, would probably be China, right?
China has teeth. I'm wondering how sharp they'll be in 20 years when the average age of their population is about 65. The average, like when they're all in the old folks' homes and you have 15% of the population supporting the rest.
That is what's
that's
happening.
the question.
That's crazy.
So right now, yeah, but in 20 years, I don't know that it'll look the same.
What about America's population?
We're doing pretty good.
We're fucking enough, right?
We're fucking enough, and we have enough in immigration. And this is a politically charged question too, but I'll go ahead and field it. The United States has very good age demographic balances, and that's what's going to keep your economy growing. And me personally, I don't care if you're black, white, brown, or where you come from. Like, we still need young people to fill the ranks.
Right.
And the U.S. is doing pretty good. So despite any racial tensions or whatever, our balance is much better than, say, Western Europe or most of East Asia. India's got an even better one, which is why many people think that they're going to be the ones that are going to really be the ones to rise to the top as the next century turns over.
That's a cool answer. Let's see here. I can't drink fast enough for these truths. There's nothing wrong with military spending. The problem is the profiteering grift from the contractors.
100%.
Not even just contractors.
100%. Yeah. I mean,
fucking good point, Flux.
Even as an Air Force person, watching what's happening with Boeing and the KC-46, and it's a lot. And you can say the same thing in where I work right now in special operations with the contracts for the AC-130s and the MC-130s. Like,
oh my god, right?
The shit's broken.
It has been since the beginning.
It's money is the problem, and money is the problem in a variety of areas. Whether that's investing in China to the detriment of our technology advantage, or propping up a military industrial complex that might deserve to die. Yeah, it's a problem. You're 100% right.
How does Colonel Justin feel about how much support we were giving Ukraine? We covered it earlier, but maybe you can give like a very, very quick.
I think as much as they ask for without accelerating conflict directly with the Russians, we should absolutely be doing, because that's way cheaper than sanctions or a direct conflict with Russia.
And that's with the understanding that human beings are corrupt and some of that shit's getting stolen.
And by the way, since we're talking about the military infrastructure, what do you think one of the most profitable businesses is in the United States? Well, I'll tell you, it's arms trade. So
yeah.
it doesn't hurt our economy to be selling our weapons abroad. It actually helps. Now, you can make a moral argument that that's terrible, and you would have a compelling argument, but if you're just looking at dollar signs, it does not hurt our economy to be giving military support and equipment to the Ukrainians.
Did you hear about the plane crashing in India today? Apparently someone was live streaming on Facebook. Like, yeah, we watched.
That was today? Nepalese people or
that
Indians?
it was in Nepal, I thought, Wolf. But yeah, we saw that video earlier.
That was fucked.
And, that was so sad.
How was it transmitting while they were in the air?
They were coming in for a landing, so he probably got a connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Did they all die? That was sad. That was a sad video, man. I'm assuming there's no survivors.
If they were flying to Kathmandu, though, it would not surprise me. That's the most fucked up airport I've ever flown into. That shit.
Like in a scary way?
Yeah. Like planes that are broken on the ground, leaking oil, and like you got to avoid the shit as they land. Like it's a mess.
What the fuck? Some standards
just
not met, right?
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. Let's see.
The problem is a lot of weapons we sent to Ukraine end up on the black market. I would not deny that. My counter argument would be not to exonerate the United States for our weapons landing on the black market, but proportionally, if you look at the Russians and the Iranians and the North Koreans, they have close to a monopoly on that situation.
Speaking of monopolies, I don't think it's talked about enough how China has control of very important minerals like cobalt that are in every chip and battery, especially batteries, in pretty much every EV, your phones, all this shit. They control, maybe someone in chat knows, but doesn't China control like 90% or something insane like that of the world's supply of cobalt?
Yes. They just made a new discovery, I think, in Sweden, somewhere in
Oh no.
Scandinavia, of all these minerals that the Chinese have had a monopoly on, and it's like second to them. So everyone's pretty hopeful now that that
Oh,
could get back in the
that's
hands of
cool.
Western Europe.
Yeah, Congo is the big one, right?
Yeah.
And the Chinese have that shit on lockdown. The
Yeah.
Chinese started entering Africa before anyone really started looking at the largest landmass in the world that is very untapped.
How have you been stationed in Japan? How do the Japanese military think about us? Um, so I haven't been stationed in Japan. I've been TDY there. I think that there's two trajectories. The Koreans, because they've kind of enjoyed this stalemate with the North, think that the American presence is unnecessary, especially as the older generation of Koreans die off. So the level of appreciation for American presence on the peninsula has diminished as the years tick on. In Japan, they're mad at us because, let's face it, we're not perfect, and the Marines in particular, no offense to any Marines, will fuck up really bad with sexual assaults and things of that nature. And the Japanese are like, why are you still here? But the Japanese have a different take, which is we probably need to bolster our military more, regardless of the Americans. So the Koreans are a little bit on the pacifist train because they don't see the North as much of a threat. The Japanese are like, let's just take uh, let's just take the bull by the horns ourselves, rely on the United States, but also bolster our military because they were made into a national defense force as opposed to a military, and that sentiment has begun to change. But we're concerned about that because we remember what Japan was like when they were a full up military, and that's concerning.
But what about they have the biggest population crisis in the world.
They
How are
do.
they going to fill a new national defense initiative?
I with more technology
Technology.
as opposed to people.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but I think those are two different trajectories, but both kind of desire more autonomy rather than the support of the United States. And if you think about it, like, all right, so that's 1947 when we started to do that. That's we're going on 75 years. It makes sense that they would want us out,
It's a
but
long time. Wow.
they still realize that our presence over there as a counterbalance to the Chinese is pretty valuable, so they don't want us out completely.
That makes sense.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah, so Justin and I met in 2007, 8, 2008,
2008.
2008 in Korea at Osan Air Base, outside of Seoul, like an hour outside of Seoul. And it was a way different feel whenever you would go, into Songtan or Osan City or Seoul. Like, there's a massive base. Yongsan is the old army garrison.
That's gone.
It's gone now. Yeah, a massive army base in the middle of Seoul. And we'd take a bus there and then go out in the town, and the military presence in districts, several different districts around the city, was super commonplace, and people were mingling and hanging out. And Itaewon is one district in particular that had a lot of Westerners and American military, and it was pretty normal, and no one really gave a shit. Sure, there would be like some drunk military bros that would fight drunk Korean bros, and there'd be like brawls outside of 7-Eleven on soju and shit, right? But for the most part, it was pretty chill, really fun. And then
Yeah.
you were just back in Korea.
Yeah.
You just got back from Korea.
I did. So COVID has shaped attitudes differently as well. Each country is kind of drawn within itself, and in East Asia in particular, the COVID protocol was a lot more stringent than it was in most other parts of the world. I would attribute that to some Confucian cultural principles. It can be very authority driven, and you don't question that. You do. I'm not saying that Japan and Korean cultures don't question authority, but the tendency, as opposed to Western culture, is they're like, okay, if the authorities say this, we're doing it. Um, a byproduct of that was, in my view, a little bit of xenophobia, because before COVID, when I was over there and I would want to go into a Korean restaurant, no question, right? Like, yeah, come on in. But um, if you were white, brown, or black, in other words, obviously an American GI, we were pushed out of quite a few Korean restaurants, and that was a new phenomenon that it took a little bit getting used to. Um, and I think it has magnified nationalism, not just in East Asia, but across the world, like more borders as opposed to less, out of a fear of COVID.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of layered factors in what's going on.
Hmm. Korea was good times. At least it was
At least
back
the
then.
first time.
First
The
time was
second time
fucking
was
amazing.
not as good, but
Yeah. We had some.
part of that's age.
Let me see if I can find a picture of us from the Korea days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why not? Quick little cute pic. Sure, I can find something. Let's see here.
That's one right there. That's me.
Let's not show that pic. Let's see here. That's hilarious.
That's us. That's
Oh my
us.
God,
Oh
look
my
at this.
God, that is us.
Fucking ridiculous pic. This is just too funny not to show, so we will.
Wow.
March 3rd, 2009. This was in Seoul. We were
Yeah.
partying in Seoul. Good times.
Jeez.
Good fucking times. Try to find one more. Hot and sweaty fucking Seoul bar. Oh God, it's not show that. Oh my goodness, some
I
of these
forgot
pictures.
about these
Some of
pictures.
these pictures. I cannot show you some of these pictures, folks. Sorry. Give me a second.
That's a good one on the hookah.
Yeah. Probably looks so young. This is us smoking hookah. This was a bar right outside the base.
Oh,
Right
wow.
outside the base. Remember
Look
when you
how
leave the
thick
base?
my eyebrows are.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Right outside the base. You'd leave the gate, walk down this little path, road path, and then you just take a left on the first road, and this bar was like right there in the first block.
Jeez.
Yeah. Let's see here. I think there may be one more we could look at.
So this guy has an interesting point. Americans don't understand constant military awareness in Korea. 100%. Americans, unless you've been over there, you don't, because Koreans live with the threat every day. I would say that is 100% true. And that's why even when American military go over to Korea, they're like, holy shit, that was a way different experience than anything I've ever had, because there is this constancy of threat. So is it Isn't it? Like, you're absolutely right, man. That 100%.
Hmm.
Y'all haven't changed one bit from your old picks. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'd say we look a little different, but not for the most part.
We've done well.
It could be way worse.
We've done well.
It could be way worse. Oh. Let's see here. Bush family didn't make its money from oil. Started with HW's granddaddy, Samuel P. In WW1, he became chief of the Ordnance, Small Arms, and Ammunition section. Oh. With national responsibility for government assistance to and relations with munitions companies. And he got to start in Cleveland.
I don't know that, but I would.
I believe it.
I
yeah.
believe it.
That's what an interesting little tidbit of
I mean,
information.
that monarchy in the United States doesn't get created overnight.
Right. Crouchy says I have to get back to what I was doing before I popped on Twitch, but thanks for doing this. I appreciate your insights. Justin. Crouchy,
welcome.
always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure. All good, Juan. All right. Anyone have any last couple of questions? Drop now. We're gonna leave here in the next 10 minutes or so. Trying to keep the Ask Soma Anythings to about 2 hours. And I'll upload this one to YouTube as well. So if you want to watch it again or later, or if you're just joining right here at the ass end, you can hit up my channel @_Soma on YouTube and watch this shit later. And then of course tomorrow night I'll be live too. Don't forget. Justin, please give us a Buddhist thought to close out the night. Oh.
Okay. Sure. The brighter the picture, the darker the negative. Don't ever be jealous of anyone else, because what they are trying to show you, whether that's on social media or even in their real lives, is never going to be an accurate depiction. Everybody's always facing a mixture of the light and the dark. Did you like that?
That was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, good.
It was pretty good. I like that. I like that. That was beautiful. You guys aged well. Welcome to the American way of global takeover. We're looking good while we're doing it. Will SpaceX, let's a couple more questions here at the end. Will SpaceX's orbital test flight succeed or fail? You're talking about Starship, right?
I hope it succeeds.
I want it to succeed so bad. I think it's fucking cool. Let's fucking cross our fingers that it works out. Starship is badass. So that's what I'm assuming you're talking about, a Starship. And Soma, please give us something as well. Oh fuck, I got nothing for you. I have nothing I can say that is as elegant as what Justin said, because I don't know shit about Buddhism.
Well, not Buddhist, but Taoist. Wu Wei. Wu is doing, Wei is not doing. Always remember that inaction is just as powerful as action. Sometimes doing nothing is the right course.
Taking that advice. A penny saved is a penny earned. I don't know. World is small. You're not the biggest stick. There you go. Yeah, you're talking about Starship. Awesome. Your favorite Alan Watts quote.
Every front has a back. Every inside has an outside.
Good old Alan
I'm
Watts.
on a roll, baby.
You're doing good.
Woo!
You're doing real good. All right, folks. Few minutes left. Get them in now. Get them in now while you can. Anything you want to know, anything you got to know or ask, say it now. Justin needs to start his own Twitch channel. Funny you should say that. Justin, where are we ever going to see you on the internet? Is it possible? What is the future of content creation with Colonel Justin?
Well, I'm trying to convince your fiance on a joint podcast where we can share our thoughts in an online environment and really blow people's minds once a week with some crazy shit. But I got to convince her. And apparently I need to move to Vegas to make this a reality. So maybe in a few years.
But before that, don't you have some ideas of something you
I have this idea.
You don't have to put it out there.
I have this idea of a YouTube channel with like short 5 to 10 minute videos about international relations. My problem is I need to like get my life together and actually double down on it. So Jordan is pushing me in that direction. So we'll see what happens.
He'd be good at it. He just needs a PC and he needs to learn how to edit if he's going to go the YouTube route. Whereas I just do the live stream and slap the highlight, whether it's an hour or 7 hours, onto my YouTube channel. Will Justin be starting a guru teaching course?
After military retirement? Yes.
Cool. Hell yeah. Do you listen to Chevelle? I don't, do you?
They were a favorite back in the early 2000s, but I haven't listened to them recently. So maybe,
I haven't heard them
maybe
in
I need
years.
to catch up.
Yeah. Good to see a fat Floridian. Where are you from in Florida? Fat. Okay, my last one. What are both of your thoughts on templates of people, not clones? Oh, I mean,
I don't know enough to answer that question.
like how there's only so many. I'm assuming you mean like there's only so many like personality types or ways of thinking, and that not every person out of the 8 billion is truly unique. Is that what you're referring to, Hawaiian? Do you realize your quotes were both about opposites, dark light, inside, outside? What does this mean?
It means that all of us are a mixture of the light and the dark, and you can't have one without the other. Light only shines in the dark. That's why the yin yang, you see the dot of the other one in each other. Like the black piece has the little white eye, and the white piece has the black eye. So it's all one. That's all it means.
What a nice thing to say, Ice. Thank you. Kibler, good to see you, brother. I meant where your mind is personally.
Oh, clearly I'm dark. I don't know.
That's hilarious. Okay, I will leave you guys here with Justin's final thoughts. Final thoughts. Any statement you want to make? Anything to say?
My final thought is selfish, and it's I've had a great start to the year, and to inverse that selfishness, I would want to wish everybody else an amazing January as you close it out, and that you take 2023 with a bunch of optimism, and you guys get whatever you're trying to manifest into this universe.
Can't argue with that. Happy New Year, folks. Happy New Year. Okay. This has been a very fun Ask Soma Anything featuring Colonel Justin, of course. I will be live tomorrow again at 7 p.m. PT for the Cyberpunk campaign that Donnie is running. I think it's episode 4 of that. So come hang out for that. That'll run from like 7 to 11ish. That campaign will probably run for another month and a half. And then there will be a short, probably 1 week, potentially 2 week break from the Monday streams. And then I will be GMing my own Star Wars campaign with Styx, Zarian, Al, Rival, and who's the other person? Pete, my buddy Pete.
Oh, Pete.
Yeah, pizza nerd too. So that'll be fun. And then don't forget, there will be an Ask Soma Anything next Sunday at 7 p.m. PT. And then after that, if things go according to plan, I'll probably take like a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we'll come right back into our brand spanking new Dark and Darker podcast with myself, Donnie, and Jay Griffia. Jay Griffia is actually streaming right now. Maybe I'll raid him after this. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. You guys are great. Thank you very much for hanging out. Thank you for watching. This was very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Did you enjoy yourself?
I sure did.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Namaste. Khoda Hafiz. Pemalenge. Sai Chen. Bye.
Ciao.